Welcome to Your Legacy Stories podcast. Your host, Natalie McQueen, helps people from all walks of life to create, live, and preserve their legacy for future generations to enjoy. Natalie became a legacy designer after a near-death experience that made her completely reevaluate the legacy she was leaving in this world. She is also a book publisher who has guided over 500 authors to become international bestsellers. Natalie's mission is to help you craft the legacy you deserve, encourage you to live it to the fullest, and then preserve it for future generations to enjoy. On this show, her guests share moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Natalie McQueen with Your Legacy Stories. And today we have, look at these beautiful faces. They are like red carpet faces. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Deb Drummond, who is really the brains and the beauty behind this amazing project. So Deb, let's introduce yourself. Tell us about the book, and then we'll have all the ladies that are part of this project introduce themselves as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having us all on your show today. I think that all of us are really about creating legacy, and that's probably a major part of why we did this. I started off solo doing this project with an epiphany when I was 31 about having to put something together with women and put something together in terms of a book format. And that dream idea, epiphany, sat until I wasn't 31. I'm just going to leave it there. Till the first year of our kind of world health crisis, when I got a very clear message that it was time. I'm going to be 100% honest. There's no way I could have foreseen everything that has unfolded with this project. But I think, like most good things, it starts with an idea and a philosophy and a mission around not just making a difference to sound like a Hallmark card, but really truly this particular group. And I talked to a lot of amazing women putting a lot of groups together. This really had a kind of like a single mission about having women around the world feel solidarity, which very few of us have ever felt solidarity, and actually to emphasize and remind women that International Women's Day is not just on March 8th, but it is an energy, it is a feeling, and it's a movement, and it's something you can participate and weave in and out of for the betterment of your lives, and obviously clearly for the betterment of our sisters across the world, wherever that is from you. And then just graciousness, having Kathleen come into the project midstream, mid-crazy, as we were expanding and exploding kind of across the globe. So we're pretty well from Kenya to Canada. And it's a really powerful movement that inspires women and those that support women to stand up, speak up, and show up in their business and personal lives.
Yeah, it's amazing. So ladies, let's start with Kathy. Kathy, introduce yourself and share with us how you make the world a better place and why you thought being a part of the 262 movement was important for you.
Okay, well, for about 35 years now, I have worked on gender equality and center staging women in leadership and decision-making roles. I do that through the UN and several international NGOs. And I've also been taught women and gender studies at the university, and I've been advocating in the political arena and connecting women. And just basically my passion or my mission is to create a movement of women leaders. We need more women leaders in the world. I think we lead very effectively and with a very different perspective that will make the world a better place. And when I got the first introduction to the 262 Women Project, I jumped on it immediately because this is exactly what women need more of. We need platforms to tell our stories, for our voices to be heard, and for us to get our messages across. Leadership is not about the grandiose person in the top office. It's about those everyday little things that people do, and especially women do, because we do so many different things and activities in our lives that it's the everyday actions that inspire and guide others. And therefore, that's why for me, this project was so important, because of creating, as Deb said, that solidarity and giving voice and creating. We believe in collaboration, not competition. And I think that's what we need more of in the world.
That is such an important part of it, right? The sisterhood, the backing of each other. We're all trying to do our own thing, but when we come together, we're so much stronger.
Yes.
So I love that. Thank you. And Kathleen, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you're making the world a better place, and why you thought being part of the 262 was a great idea for you.
Thank you, Natalie. And thanks for doing this. It's so good to see everybody. I think this is just the first time we've all been on one screen again since we went. So I am a partner in the 262 movement, which I couldn't be happier to be. And prior to that, I spent 30 years in corporate America in leadership. So I so relate to everything that Kathy just shared with us, and all the needs that we have out there and all the skills that women have. But I didn't find that in corporate America so much. And I spent as long as I could there helping to nurture and bring that along. I got out of there. And when I got out of there, after that was complete, I started my company, Straight Up Executive Consulting, with the sole purpose of going out into the world and helping female leaders find their inner balance, find that inner strength, find that confidence they need to come out and do what they can do in the world, because we know women are amazing. And together, like Kathy said, we're so much stronger. And so I got into this, Natalie. It's all your fault. I'm just going to say. Natalie actually introduced me to the project. And I think Deb and I talked for like 5 minutes, and it was kind of like that. You had me at hello. I knew that it was something I was going to be involved in. And I'll confess, I didn't know that the involvement would take me this far, but I'm thrilled that it has. And I feel so much stronger about it today than I even did each and every day, because there's so many women out there yet to come into the movement, yet to come in and find out what it feels like to have a sisterhood of strong, brave women supporting and strength with each other. So yeah, I couldn't be happier to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. And Kathleen, you are the perfect person for this. I've known you and we've worked together for years, and I see how you elevate women, and you're such a role model and perfect person to be a part of this movement and help lead it. Really.
Thank you very much.
Beth, how about you? Introduce yourself.
Well, hello, my name is Beth Elsfelder, and my passionate mission in life is intuitive energy healing for animals and those who love them. And it just helps so much with, I've seen such incredible changes in animals, shelter animals, newly adopted animals, horses who are, have a job, who work, and with people as well. It helps to deepen that human-animal bond that just really needs to be deepened for pets and for people. And, I just have been doing this for about 25 years and started working with people. And then I switched over to animals when I met an incredible holistic veterinarian, and my focus was animals for a long time. And then in the last couple of years, I've been hearing over and over again, you got to get back to people, because people need the healing just as much as animals do. And to develop that bond, both needs to happen. So I was wise enough to listen to intuitive guidance to hire Miss Deborah Drummond as my business coach a couple of years ago, when I was going through a really challenging time in my life. And she's helped me so much to regain my confidence in who I am and what I do, and also to encourage me to step into a larger arena, to dream bigger. And so she invited me into the 262 project, and my heart said yes right away. It took a little while for my head to catch up. And it's just, this has been a grand opportunity for me to remove this cloak of invisibility I've been wearing almost my whole life, and to really step up and tell my story, and to step fully into the person I know I can be and the life I know I can have. So it's been incredible opportunity.
Yeah. And Beth, just the time that we've spent together, and I've got to know you, like when you work on the animals and you enlighten the people, you are working on both and making, such an incredible difference. So many people need to know what you do. So thank you for doing what you do. Yeah, Dr. Lisa.
Hi, Natalie. Hello to all my 262 sisters. I'm Dr. Lisa Tan, and I'm a red carpet coach because I believe women deserve the red carpet treatment. Now, this is an identity that I actually just stepped into after the Emmy Awards, but it has felt so right because I still get to do what I love. I love to help spark new neuronal connections and reconnections such that we're able to kiss our past goodbye and really, really step into our purpose. And I mean, you're looking at all the reasons why I joined 262. I remember that first call with Deb, and I get this full body yes. And what it feels like is every single cell of my body vibrating. And I think Beth is nodding. She goes, yeah, I got you. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And as Kathleen said, yeah, she had me at hello. So with that full body vibration, it was, I think in 10 minutes, I decided to join the International Women's Day Summit. And I remember Kathleen hopping on a call with me to give me support. And that's it. Like, that's when we talk about support, that's what I feel when I'm part of this group. And what this movement that has been created reminds me of is the same situation in Rwanda, where we have the most women in parliament. When women step up, show up, speak up, what we're seeing is lasting peace, better economies and children in schools. So this movement is, to me, going to make a historical impact. And I'm just so happy that Natalie invited all of us to convene and share our experiences today. So thank you, Natalie.
Thank you for coming. I mean, this is what I love when, each of us in our own spaces are making the differences and putting our messages out into the world. But when we come together, and hopefully this will be seen by many, and they can connect with you and get more of what you do. So thank you so much. And Stephanie, how about you?
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. So good to see all my 262 sisters. All these emotions are coming back up from when we were together in LA a few weeks ago. I am Stephanie Seek. I am an author, a speaker, and I am an unconventional love coach for women. And I say unconventional because a lot of the love coaching, the dating coaching out there falls short of helping women first start by loving themselves. My story is similar to Kathleen's in that I spent 25 years in corporate America in sales leadership. And there's nothing quite like a sales career that teaches you human psychology and how human beings interact with each other. And I myself experienced great success in my corporate career, but I had been married and divorced twice by the age of 43. And never in my life could I have dreamed that I'd have success, quote unquote, on one side of my life, but where I really wanted to feel loved in my personal life wasn't working. So that launched a self-study about why are women successful at what we do, But sometimes our love lives and our personal lives don't reflect that outward appearance that we're projecting in our busy corporate or work or entrepreneurial lives. And that launched a book that I wrote for young women. And I wanted to bring my experiences and take the shame out of divorce or breakups and teach women to first love themselves. We are very busy. Women take on the burdens and the hopes and the dreams of everyone we work with, our children, our families. And sometimes we sell ourselves short and we don't take the time to get clear on what it is that we need and want to feel fulfilled. And I don't want to sell being in love short, because being in love is a beautiful thing. And I want women to attract healthy relationships. So when I met Deb, I was introduced by one CEO to Deb, who's another CEO, and it was just instant connection. And, you know, when I coach my love clients, I tell them, don't worry about the end result. Don't project so much on how does this all end up, because our desires are always changing. Well, that's how I felt about joining the 262 community. Like all of my sisters just expressed, it was an intuitive call. And I just said yes. And I said, I know if my mission is to help women love each other and love themselves more, then I have to be a part of this. And I'm not going to worry about the end result. I'm just going to do it. And it has been such a gift. And I'm so glad that I was connected with Deb. I think it was a cosmic connection, and then with all of you here. So I'm very excited to be part of this platform, and I'm spreading the word. I want everyone to join it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Stephanie. So you hit the nail on the head. Women, and I see this when I work with people through legacy, they undervalue what they do in the world. They don't think what they do really matters or is worthy of documenting as a legacy. And it's that self-worth, the self-love that is so important. And the more that we come together and promote each other and show how we see each other, because we can have self-doubts in what we do, or, you know, if something didn't turn out, but when you have the people around you lifting you up and showing how you really do turn up in the world, that is priceless. So and then I'm hoping I'm going to say your name properly. Is it Mariki?
Mariki.
Say it one more time.
Mariki.
Mariki. Okay, thank you so much. Introduce yourself and share why you thought being part of the 262 was important.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me, Natalie. You know, everyone here has such an amazing story, and I think my story is a little different. It's an interesting path for me being part of this book. So Deb and I have actually been friends for a very, very long time, and I'm actually Deb's CFO, and I'm Natsukashi's CFO. So as Deb started on this path, I've walked this path with her, and she talked lots about the book, and then she said, join me in the book. And I was like, yeah, crazy. I'm much better in the background. And yes, I am an extrovert, but I like working from the background. I'm extensively involved with financial executives, and I'm the co-chair of the women's group. And there we're really working to try and elevate women, we've broken the ceiling. How long ago? Really? But the ceiling actually still exists because there's so many biases in corporate America, corporate Canada, that it's quite alarming that nothing has really changed. And so being the co-chair is something that is really important to me. And so as Deb invited me to come and join in the book, it was something that didn't resonate with me initially because I don't like being in the forefront with stuff like this. But, you know, the more we talked about it and seeing all the amazing women and all my 262 sisters joining the project, the more I wanted to be part of this, because like Deborah told me so many times, I have a story to tell. And so many times, we are being told that we can't do stuff, but we can. And that was something that was so important. Right from little girls, we sometimes come from generations, we come from cultures where we are being told, no, you're the wrong color, the wrong skin, the wrong person. And it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count when in here, you can. And that was my story, because for so long I'd been told, no, you can't. And I should never have been a CFO. But yes, guess what? I am. And I'm very proud to be able to say that I have worked my way to be able to actually have my own consulting company. And I enable women like each one of you to have a successful career, because, it's amazing to be an entrepreneur, but it's usually the blind spot. How do I do my finances? And so many of my clients find that having that CFO walking alongside of them is how they get elevated, how they can grow their business, because it's a piece that they don't have to worry about. And that is how I like growing women, and how I like to help women excel. And like I said, I like doing it a little bit more in the background. So this is a little bit more uncomfortable for me, but I really enjoy helping women see their worth. And this was something that is just so amazing for me, seeing all these strong women being able to really come to the forefront and all work together. It's so amazing. Thanks for having us, Natalie.
Absolutely. You know what? I can relate to you more than you know. I was a book publisher for years and sat in the forefront and pushed the authors out and said, go be vulnerable, share your stories, do this, do that. And then something happened in my life where it was so clear that it's like, okay, you can't stay in the background anymore. It's time for you to share your message out and your book. And so it is never my comfort zone. But what I've realized is if you just be yourself, and your genius will shine, your heart will shine, and people will love and connect with you. And so thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So the exciting news is we've got all this, all these beautiful women's stories together in a beautiful 2-page spread on every page. And we've launched this book. And then what happened? It went to the Emmys. Like, how did that happen? So Deb, why don't you share a little bit about, how did that happen? And then we'll have the ladies share their experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. I just love, when you're organizing and leading and in the background and having meetings and and tweaking this and the color of the flyers and all the things, it's so good to sit here and just listen to the other side of the experience, right? So, it's like people eating your cake after you spent, 3 weeks curating it. So I feel really full listening to all these women share their stories. I appreciate that so much. How it came about, obviously I get that question a lot. How did you get to the Emmys? How did you get to the Emmys? Oh my gosh, now you're going to the Oscars. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. How does that happen? And I'm going to be honest, it happens with thousands and thousands and thousands of handshakes. I mean, I don't think I would have been handshaken. I don't think I would have been vetted. I don't think I would have been, had I not done all my due diligence, right? So I wasn't in my business for 30 days and all of a sudden it came. So I really think that it came from all the work. I think it came from getting up early and going to bed late and being willing to invest and saying yes when you don't have the money. And, Stephanie dating some people that maybe I shouldn't have dated and, all sorts of things, all the things that make your life, you know what I mean? And Mariki's like, yes, she did. But all the things and all the lessons and all the pain and all the tiring, I think is how that actually handshake happened. And then when I got on the call with Heather, it was the same thing as many of the women explained getting on the call with me. I got on and my body was yes. Did I have an abundance in my account saying, we can do this, let's go for it? No, I put myself back against the wall and had that same faith. As I was negotiating the deal, I was like, she's like, okay, the contract's in your inbox. And I was like, oh, I thought I'd have a couple of days, and in 48 hours things had to be taken care of, and then you just start to get creative, right? So it really I really truly, that's the best answer, and it's the most honest answer that I can give, is how it happened. Was a woman who's been watching me from the sidelines, who I've done a lot of business with, vetted me enough and had enough to think about who I was and what I could do that would raise the bar, and then go forward and do that. And it's not, everybody has their own, decision making to do. I think when you take a decision on for a movement, as a recovering codependent, it also can really play with me, because for me, I'm like, I want everyone to have success, and I want everyone to have this, and I want everyone to have that. So in making that decision, if you've done this enough times, you know that there's 1,000 things you haven't thought about. There's 1,000 things that need to be due. Your team's going to have to get pulled in. There's flyers that are going to have to be made. There's, making sure everybody arrives on time. I literally was checking to make sure no one's flights were late, and all the things that it takes, right? So I think that it is, for me, it was a multiplex decision, and I knew it was going to push me to a level of growth as well as alongside. So it was that having that participation and having those voices in my head, that are like, all the voices in your head, which are probably only 10% if they would have been 5 years ago. And then also be the support and hold the energy and the space for everyone else to have their experience. So it was a really, one of those big decisions, kind of like 262, kind of like making decisions to go as big as we have. Because you can always say no. I need someone to tell me that. I need someone needs to move in and go, okay, you can't say no, because for some reason, when I get downloads, when my body starts to tingle, I say yes. And I figured out later, I'm like, okay, I need a personal trainer. I need a housekeeper. You don't take these decisions. I need someone to come pull with my laundry. It's literally been in the living room since I got back from LA. Those kind of things you have to really prioritize. And I might not have anyone over for dinner, but I'll take you out for dinner and say yes to crazy things like that.
Yeah. Well, what I saw with the book, putting all the beautiful pieces together, the launch, the summits, I don't know how you do what you do. You are definitely a master in your craft, and it's been wonderful to be a part of this and see it. But the Emmys was just like, what?
It was breathtaking, and it was honoring. And I'm not going to throw my hat in the coin, but I do teach top performance, right? So I do know how to make those decisions that's my client. That's the client that I work with, someone that wants to know how to do what you do and something like that. But yes, the Emmys I'll let the ladies speak with the Emmys, because for me, it was true solidarity. For me, I had my magical moment. My magical moment was when we were all sitting around signing the pages of the book. For me, that was a moment of solidarity. It was an equal moment. It was a powerful moment. Women came and signed what they could and not. There was no judgment, no this, no that. No one was like, what are you signing? So there was none of that crap. I have to say that going to the Emmys, as much as people think, going to Celebrity Land has a lot of ego, I did not feel ego from the time I landed to the time I left. Internally and externally, we just did not attract that. It just didn't exist there, because everybody was full. They were full with their knowingness of their own craft. And it was breathtaking.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Well, let's work backwards this time. Eric, why don't you share your experience, and what was it like being there? What was your kind of highlight?
Well, we should have gone last. I'll tell you why. But the unique experience compared to all these lovely ladies who actually stood together in solidarity at the 262 table. I was over at the Natsukashi table with Deb. And so my experience was completely different in that sense, but it was incredible in the sense that we had everybody come around. They saw the Emmy hat, and then they were like, oh, but what is this? Because the book was there. And then we got to introduce them to the book and say, oh, but please go next door, because these lovely ladies is going to introduce you and tell you about it. So that was something that was absolutely phenomenal, how we got to really tie it together. But when I take it really down to something that I personally took away from the entire experience, was not just how the celebrities really experienced everything and how we experienced the celebrities. So I've never had a good experience with hanging out with a bunch of women. So going into the Emmys, I was pretty anxious because we're going to be a bunch of women hanging out together. And I knew Deborah. I had met Kathleen because we're all working on the project together at times, but that was it. And so for me, it was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be like high school? And you hear how women are always stabbing each other in the back. And you know what was the wow for me? Is these sisters are true sisters. They had each other's back. No matter what happened the entire time, we were just there for each other. And that was one of the things that just completely blew me away. From signing the book together, signing the book together, to standing together at the table, everybody allowing each other the space, the capacity to collaborate with the different celebrities. It was just an absolute phenomenal experience overall.
That's awesome. Incredible. How about you, Stephanie? What was your experience?
Well, Mariki, you said that so well, because I think I went out thinking, okay, I'll meet some celebrities. Maybe they'll be nice. Maybe they won't be. How interested will they be in this book? Even though we were all super proud, of the book and the quality. And I also had the same trepidation of, I'm with a group of women. They seem nice, but what is that dynamic going to be like? And yes, I was amazed by the openness of the celebrities and media that came through, men and women. In fact, I found that the men almost leaned more into the movement of, how can I support this? I have a sister who needs to hear about this, or, oh my gosh, I need to bring this actress over because we're in a thing together and she really needs to hear this message. That was so wonderful to see. But where I was truly moved was with the collaboration of our team of women. Because like Mariki said, we knew that if we saw Dr. Lisa Tan, really in a deep conversation with someone, that we would just let her be, right? And have that conversation, because it needed to be a connection for her. We don't know what the outcome is, but we could see the magic happening, and everyone held space for each other. Everyone was helpful, looking out for each other. And it really built the sisterhood. And I think that's the purpose of the platform, is no jealousy, no inhibitions, and just helping. How can I help you grow your business? How can I help you grow your brand? And I've never experienced that with a large group of women together. So it was magical in many ways.
That's amazing. How about you, Dr. Lisa?
Oh my gosh. Yes, like as Stephanie and Mariki was saying, it caught me off guard too, the bonding we've had. And as I'm listening to everyone share, I can't help but to think of two words: slumber party. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how is going to the Emmys anything like a slumber party? It was a warm and cozy feeling, right? Deb was saying, no ego. It was in front of the scenes and even behind the scenes, no ego, warm, fuzzy. From the conversations we had with, like Stephanie was saying, the men, there was so much support. We've gotten so many invitations for possibly a documentary.
Oh.
Can you believe it? A documentary for the 262 movement. And the depth of the conversations, it was like talking to a soul friend. That was the depth of my conversations. And yes, probably my sisters did notice, okay, Lisa's gone. It was because I was having such a deep conversation that I did not want to end. And behind the scenes, we had celebrations in the hotel room, which felt like a slumber party. And we just kept talking and talking. And we knew it was time to rest. We knew we had to get ready for the next day. But there were conversations going on that were like, no, let's just keep talking. Like, we did not want the entire several days to come to an end. We just did not. Like, I wanted to stay up. I wanted to stay up till the sunrise. I did not want it to end. And I was just blown away by the servant leaders. I would say servant leaders is a great way to describe the other vendors that we met, and the way all the 262 sisters rose up and had each other's back. I feel like servant leaders at a giant slumber party would be a great way to encapsulate the Emmy experience.
That sounds wonderful. And I like the slumber party idea. And Beth, what was the highlight for you?
Oh, well, for me, this was a very enlightening experience. It was full of growth and expansion, friendship and joy. I have to say that some of the best moments were watching, we're talking about solidarity, but watching one sister pull another into a conversation, or, oh, you need to talk to this person, and I'm going to take you over here to talk to this person. Thank you, Stephanie. It was just, it was mind-blowing for me. It was not something that the type of environment I'm used to being in. And so I was a little nervous going into it, but the biggest plus for me was getting to know all of these incredible women and learning from them, and seeing, listening to conversations and seeing the impact that this movement is having on people, celebrities, people in entertainment, people in the media, and they were just drawn in. They were excited about this movement. Some of them wanted to be in the book, and how can we help? How do we move forward from here? And to see celebrities pulling, come on, ladies, let's get a picture. And so we're all going in and getting pictures with celebrities, and it was just a very warm and welcoming environment,
Yeah.
which I didn't expect, but it was just a beautiful event in every way.
I'm glad that you're sharing that, because sometimes we see the Emmys and the stars, and they walk in and they do their thing, and you don't think that they're maybe open for a one-on-one conversation like that, or that they too are thinking about their sisters and how important this movement is. So that's amazing to hear. And it really puts a perspective on the type of people in the media, and in framing it a little more positive than we may think. So Kathleen, how about you? What was the highlight for you?
Oh my gosh. The highlight for me is, and probably has a lot to do with my background, right? It's when a good plan comes together. And it's kind of like what Deb said, you have this overnight success after 30 years of working day and night.
Right.
That was sort of not that this was working 30 days, but it was, we prepared. We didn't just go make this announcement and say, show up with your suitcase and we'll all be great. No, we met several times. We set intentions. We talked about what it would be like. We talked about what our mission was here. And that was so, so important, because then all of the other stuff was sort of dealt with and stacked away. Signing the books was 200 books on this great big live wood piece of, table. It was incredible. The energy. We were in the center of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Everybody was there watching, seeing us going by. So there was a lot of anticipation. We did things that just set the energy toward us right from the get-go. And then watching it happen. And it's like I tell people that I work with all the time, people that have that servant attitude when they're so afraid to get up and do something. It's not about you. And that's exactly what each and every one of us took into this. So, we did a little study up on who might come across and would we be embarrassed if they talked to us or what. But by the time we got there, it was like the intention was they come in and they know about the most powerful women's movement surrounded around International Women's Day that they will ever come across. And that was the energy, and I'm getting chills as I say it. That was the energy that each and every single one of us had. Almost every one of my conversations started with a hug, which led me know that they knew we were interested in them. We were curious about them. And so it wasn't so much, what do you have for us? And my standard line was, this is what I have for you. I know it looks like a book, but I'm going to tell you, it's so much more. It's a movement. And then that just was it. And then it was just like they were cracked wide open. They came to us open. That's like so much is echoed. And I have to say too, there were a lot of amazing women, and we were positioned, and thank you, Heather. We were positioned, and Deb, nothing happened by accident. It all looks like, look how but there's so many little tiny things that were the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. And then we were just in this really fluent, fabulous stream to swim in. We were positioned beautifully. No one missed us. You could not miss us. It didn't matter. I don't care where you came in, where you thought you were going now, we were there. And then all these gorgeous women are there in their spirit, in their comfort, in their full intention of what it is they were getting. Because, you don't fund yourself to get to something like this without coming in with a good intention and what, you want out of it. And everybody had that. We all shared it. We all accepted it. And it flowed from all of us. And just to have everybody come up and feel that. And I know I'm going on, but one of the biggest highlights was the fact that people just keep coming back.
Yeah.
There was booth after booth, table after table, free this, free that, free, and we had people, I laughed when I saw the pictures, because it was like, this guy spent the day with us. This woman was here 3 times, and they would say that I just have to keep coming back here.
Wow.
And I'm so proud of that, because it is a movement, and that is what we are intending 100% to do, is to have all of the world, all of the women, and all the people that support women know that this is the place, this is the movement, this is where you belong. So yeah, it was a big moment.
Beautiful. And they can pick up on your energy. I mean, why wouldn't they want to be around you, beautiful ladies that are just, putting such amazing energy out to the world to make changes, to stand up for women. So Kathy, how about you? What was your highlight?
Well, I'm going to echo a lot of what everybody else has said, but I think for me, there were several highlights, but having our meeting together and having our energy and the synergy that we created with each other, I think that goes to what Kathleen was saying. We had this vibe at our table that was so welcoming and so high energy about women and supporting women. And so many times we had these famous people, I mean, they were famous people, come and want to share their story with us, because we were so open to sharing ours. And that we heard so many, especially, I think I said this a little earlier, one of the phrases was collaboration, not competition. And that resonated so much, especially with the women, because they are in a high competition field. They are constantly having to compete and having to show up a certain way. And with us, they could just talk about who they were, what they were feeling, some of the things that they were confronting, because we gave that energy out. It was such I'm almost symbiotic that we gave them the energy and they gave us back their energy, because everyone, and the men too, as Stephanie and Lisa have said, the men were so drawn into that energy also, because oh, I have 2 daughters, they need this book. I have a mother, she's a dynamo, but she needs this book. And we'd say, let her be in the book. I'm sure they all have stories to tell, because every woman, I say this a lot when I'm working with women, throughout history, anonymous really meant a woman. And now we are giving women the opportunity to stand up, speak up, and tell their story. And so much of what we heard and what we shared, because it was sharing, it wasn't we talking to them or them talking to us, it was really true sisterhood sharing. We heard some stories that we said, you need to share your story, you need to be in this book, because you have a message, you have something to tell. It's important for other people to hear you. So I think it was a combination of our energy that we created with each other and the energy that we shared at the booth. Like Kathleen said, some people kept coming back and they kept saying, oh, I just wanted to come back and tell you one more thing, or I just wanted to talk to you some more. And some people literally did hang around the booth for quite a while because of that energy that we created and we shared with them and allowed them to share with us. So it was very moving for me. And like, I'm getting chills talking about it too, because it was so moving to see these people as real people, not as somebody on a pedestal or somebody acting out on something.
That's beautiful. So overall, I can feel your hearts. I can feel that it was such a good experience. And think about this. This is the first, right? This book will move on and carry the movement over and over. And think of the people that we can touch with this. So that's awesome. So now I want to ask you guys a legacy question. And Kathy, we're going to start with you. Tell everyone, who is someone that really made an impact on your life?
And I might get a little emotional about this because it is my daughter. And she had a stroke. She went from being an Olympic hopeful athlete to being a hemiplegic, meaning she couldn't use the whole left side of her body overnight with a stroke. And to see her champion herself and what she needed to do to become the person she is today, and see and accompany her through her struggles and through her challenges. She never gave up. She constantly pushed herself forward. And to see that in anybody, and especially somebody who's 18 years old, to be able to do that and become the person she is today. She's actually, she turns 40 this month, and she lives and works in New York. She finished her college degree. She went on to grad school. She is accomplished in her field. So did it slow her down? Absolutely. But did she ever give up? No, she just, and sometimes I know she felt like she wanted to give up. And it was just, I was there and said, you can't. We have to go forward in life, and this is part of your journey. And it's obviously a really difficult journey compared to what I had in my journey, but you are magnificent, and let the world see that. And she did. She is amazing. She's just an amazing young woman. And I'm very grateful that I was able, and she allowed me to accompany her on this journey. So she really inspires me every day.
Thank you for sharing that. That's at such a young age to show such strength and drive. That's incredible.
And resilience.
Exactly.
Resilience.
Yeah. So Kathleen, what would you like to be remembered for?
The whole legacy thing is so amazing, right? Because you think, I don't want to be remembered. I want to be right here. But I think if there were sort of one thing, you know, I think I came into this earth knowing that I was here to support. And as I grew, I knew that I was here to help bring peace to the earth. And I know that sounds crazy with what we have in the world. But yeah, I want to be remembered as that person that was that soft place to fall, that no matter what was going on, willing to take charge, but always willing to hold you while you do it. And yeah, I think that would be it, is, you know, peace and kindness. Yeah.
And you're doing an amazing job at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Beth, what is one thing that you would like to be remembered for?
Natalie, if you would have asked me this 30 years ago, my answer would be completely different.
Yeah, right.
But when I talked about and shared my journey through infertility at a spiritual retreat, when that ended, I was gifted with a t-shirt that said "Mother of All Things." It was a Dr. Seuss t-shirt. And that got me thinking. And so I guess I would like to be remembered for having the resilience and the courage to walk through that pain and find my soul's work.
Nice.
The work of my soul, which is this energetic healing of animals and all of those who love them. So it's a love for animals and people and the planet, and it's that nurturing and that compassion. So I guess that's it.
That's a lot, and that's
It's a lot.
an amazing purpose and so needed in this world, right? Yeah. And Dr. Lisa, so your legacy question is, what is one tradition, a new tradition that you've started, or that maybe that you would like to start?
Ooh. So a new tradition that I'm starting is around birthdays. So yesterday was my birthday, and I just turned 50. So the new
Congratulations.
tradition that I would love to start is this motto: let every day be a birthday, the birth of a new day, the birth of a new business idea, the birth of new friendships, whatever it may be. You can fill in the blank. And I find it so interesting to start my days from that perspective. And I hope this is something that I could share with all my clients.
Yeah.
To have that way to spark whatever it is that you desire, and that it happens when the sun rises. We have that new potential to start something new. So this concept of being able to give birth every single day to something new. And recently what I also gifted myself yesterday was a Kundalini activation process. And what that woke me up to was the birth of another new idea as part of my legacy. When we tune in to this energy of life, that we completely become unstoppable. So let every day be a birthday.
I love it. Absolutely. And happy belated birthday. Deb, what would you like to be remembered for? I feel like I can answer it, but
Wow. Well, first I want to give space for Joanne Callahan, who was also at this event with us, who isn't able to be here today. She was a major part of the love, joy, and solidarity. She is our sister from Ireland. I also want to do kind of a shout out to Ocean, who had his own booth where me and Maraiki were hanging. And there is such a synergy between what Ocean was doing there and what 262 was doing there, and the collaboration brought together by a logo and a wine label. I thought for a 20-year-old kid, he pretty well stood up and held his own to be able to be in that environment. And support both way. Like for us, we felt the love. Myself, Maraiki, and Prezi did a huge intentional blessing in front of both booths before anyone came down, and man, it showed. So that was really beautiful. So I just want to kind of do a shout out for them. Wow. And I also have to do a shout out that if anyone's listening to what we're saying right now, that the movement's not over. At this date, there's 44 spots for people to come into the booth. At this date, there's 220 speaking spots every single year. So the Stand Up, Speak Up, and Show Up isn't over yet. And we plan on doing this for 5 years. I have to say that. But in terms of, my legacy, I think I have a real jolt around the word loyalty. And, I think I wanted to be known as the person who has someone's back. I remember the best Mother's Day card that I got from my daughter, and it was, "Thank you for me always being able to know that you would be there." So I'm kind of, as they would say, Mama Bear to the world. And my biggest respect, and the person who motivates me the most, would have to be Gloria Steinem. And she motivated me in so many different ways in her writings. When I met her, I was more tongue-tied than I've been in front of anybody. I had 3 seconds to say something, and all I could say was thank you. And I remember being just pissed when I was researching some information about her. And for some reason, I fell upon her net worth. You know how they list net worth. And you could go, now I don't negate what anyone makes. I think if you earn it and that's your party, and you like go. But when I looked up her net worth a couple of years ago, I remember talking to Kathy, I was so pissed. And her net worth was $1 million. And I thought, how could your net worth only be $1 million? And how could you be there's a fundraiser right now just for her home to stay intact so people can still sit there and merge and create. And I thought, how could the work you have done be evaluated at that? I'm like, I expected about, 3 or 4 more zeros on there. You've laid your life down. I felt. So I just think, so she's my hero, and all women should make and be sustainable. A sustainable woman is a powerful woman. You never should have to say yes to something you don't want to do or no to something you can. So my message and theme is solidarity, but really, I'm your loyal, got your back. That's my legacy.
Yeah. And it shows how you can bring 262 top level people that have hearts of gold. Like every person, every woman that I've met in this movement, we all stand out in our own ways and want the same thing. So you definitely attract it, Deb.
Thank you. I'm going to hang on as long as possible. I had a meeting a minute ago, but I'm hanging in for another minute or so.
Wow. Oh, right.
In case I go.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Who are you asking?
Stephanie.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear my name. Deb, that was so beautifully said. I want to be remembered for helping hundreds of thousands of women fall so deeply in love with themselves that they attract the romantic love they truly deserve, that lights them up. And it's never too late. That's my motto. Well, it's never too late to change your mind, to try something new. We can fall in love at 40, at 50, at 60, at 70. Love remains. It's all about love. So if I can help women learn that by loving themselves and putting themselves first, that will actually bring in what they really want and desire, then I will have done my work on earth. And I have 3 daughters. And what matters to me most is that my 3 girls know how worthy they are of love. And so I start with them at my core, and then I can magnify from there. So thank you for asking us these legacy questions, Natalie, because it helps us set intentions, and it helps your listeners think about, gosh, what do I want my life to have been about? when I leave this earth. So thank you, Natalie.
Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. I have 2 daughters, so I relate to that. Mariki, what would you like to be remembered for?
Well, very much tying into what I probably said in the beginning is that, being in the background is really most important to me, because that's not just where I really feel comfortable, but probably where I do my best work. I think for me, what I really want to be remembered for, when I really think about it, is knowing that they never have to truly remember that it was me that inspired them to be that. But if that happens, I'm completely, utterly in my happy spot. But my entire life's goal, the reason I've studied, the reason I've done everything, I was brought up that you're meant to honor, obey, stay home, do as you're told. Women are not independent, and I don't believe that. And I have worked my life to inspire and help my nieces, my cousins, my female counterparts. You can be anything you can want to be for the rest of your life. If you choose, do it. And you have to be independent. Choose a lifestyle where you are never dependent on anyone. Take that path. And you don't have to remember that I have inspired you to do that. But if you are independent, I am happy and content.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thank you, ladies. So everyone's bio and information and way to connect with these amazing ladies are in the show notes. If you haven't got a copy of the book, there's the link there. You can still buy it, and please contact Deb if you want to be a part of this movement with us and just elevate women. So thank you very much, ladies, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Legacy Story Podcast. If you would like to share your legacy story with Natalie or get your legacy book started, please reach out at giftsoflegacy@gmail.com. Be sure to add My Legacy Stories in the subject line. We would love to help you share your legacy message out to the world. Natalie would like to invite you to join our private Facebook group, Create Your Legacy Life. She shares tips on book publishing, ways to create and leave your legacy, and she interviews the most amazing legacy creators, sharing their moments of purpose, gratitude, wisdom, and tradition, and of course, their legacy stories. See you next week.